but it's not going to. I mean, that's kind of, we have to build that first, because that, it's going to be hard to go back and retrofit that. So we're building a lot of that functionality in there first, and then when the game releases, though, it'll have all the functionality in it. It'll have the single player, because I'm a single player person. I really don't like playing with people online sometimes anymore, especially with Madden, because they cheat and they don't play realistic, and stuff like that.
And if it's like the only option you have, it's like,
yeah, your whole experience is just ruined, So we build it from the hardest spot first, and then trickling it down to the easiest. Just like with the rules and everything, we start with the most complex rules first.
Yeah.
And then as you go back in time, the rules get to be a lot easier. So all you're doing is subtracting stuff out of there from there. And the same thing with the graphics. Graphics going to be here, and as far as assets and everything, the graphics going to be good in all eras. But as you go back in time, there's less of this, and there's less complexity to what's going on the sidelines and everything compared to what it is in 2016. So we're starting with the most complex pieces first, and then we're bringing it down to the less complex, which is so we're starting with the multiplayer networking type thing first, but it's not going to be a multiplayer game like that. And
I think that's better, because we have enough multiplayer games,
right?
And it's really hard and difficult to develop for. Because people understand, like, people have different internets, people have different systems. Sometimes people with different PCs, if you're playing on a PC, and they can't handle, like, the graphics, or they get a lag that, like, other people don't get. So, and I agree that I like the single-player experience better. And you know what? You can always make another game that has multiplayer on it, but for this game can stay single-player. And that is if you have demand for it. You know, like, you can see if people actually want it before you develop it, instead of wasting time doing something that maybe people don't want, because they can get that from Madden.
You're actually right. I mean, I'm like, if people want to do that, play football like that, they can play Madden. I mean, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm not building a game. I'm building a game similar to Madden, only because it's football and it plays in the same kind of way, but our experience is going to be totally different from Madden. It's going to be totally different from anything that's out there, or it's going to be out there, or has ever been out there. And that's what people are going to see with this product. It's that's why we're paying attention to detail on certain aspects of it, because we want it to be different. That's the way you stand out. I mean, is to make a new experience that people are going to walk away and say, I had fun with that. And that's what I want people to say from this. We've got people out there who come from the background that I came from with the strategic board games. They're gonna like this because of the coaching aspect of it.
So you have you said we have the player aspect, and then you said the coaching aspect. And then owner aspect too.
We're gonna have a GM. We don't have the owner, but we'll have the GM, and then we'll have the the career for the player. So we'll have the career for the player, the GM, the coach, and the franchise.
That is huge.
Yeah.
That is a huge. So I hope that you've all planned out like what each section is going to be like.
Yes.
What it's going to feel like. You don't necessarily have to see the GM either. Like, the player is that.
Well, you're going to be able to see the GM.
Okay.
Yeah,
you're going to customize him too.
You'll be able to customize, and we're going to have GMs are going to be women. They're going to be men.
Excellent.
So it's you're going to see the GM. So we want you to be able to have that whole experience. So graphically, you'll be able to like you create a player, you'll be able to create your GM. It could be a woman, it could be a man, and you dress them up, and they have a persona to them, just like a player will.
So they're not just like a static figure. They actually have some personality.
Yeah. Just like the players will. I mean, we wanted to take that whole thing.
Are can you make some players not like each other, and that affects their gameplay?
Well, that's kind of we're building some attributes in there, something similar to that, where you'll have certain players are just going to get into trouble.
Okay.
They're going to do stupid things. We have this thing in there called random events, in the game where randomly things are going to happen that you're not going to be able to control, because life is like that, right?
Yeah.
So there's going to be random events that are going to happen, and then you're going to have to deal with them. Let's say you're a coach and you have a player that just went out all night and drinking and got into trouble. So how are you going to deal with that? Things could happen like that are going to challenge you, just like in life. And that's what we're going to have. A lot of this stuff is not going to be just football. It's going to be a little different than that. It's going to be like you're going to have to make some decisions, like you would in a role play or RPG game.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is amazing. Like having role playing, but that is football.
Yeah.
I mean, football. A football player doesn't wake up every morning and just play football. He has a life. He has, he's a person, and all those aspects affect him as a player, as far as everything else too.
Yeah.
Like there is that aspect
Family.
of money. Yeah, and there's the aspect of what do you do in your free time, and
Yeah. So we're gonna build some things in there, and there's gonna be some things that may happen on the field that just may happen, and as a coach, how are you going to deal with that?
That's true. I mean, I would like to see weather changes.
We're going to have weather changes. Yeah. We have dynamic weather, because Unreal gives you that. So we're going to have dynamic weather. We're going to have the uniforms are going to get dirty, the field's going to tear up, things like that. We're trying to figure out how we can, as soon as a guy slides in the mud, if we can make it appear that way on his uniform.
Okay.
Right away, and so we're working through some things like that. But yeah, all the weather and all of that stuff and the
really
size
tough.
of the players.
I played many games, you have too, where you have like you're in a violent situation, like a soldier or whatever, and you're shooting blood everywhere and guts or whatever, and then the next second they're clean. And it completely takes the immersion out.
Yeah.
And this is what this game is. It is immersion.
Yeah, that's another thing. Some people have asked me about that, jerseys being untucked and everything, because it's true. When you're playing a football game, you're not gonna be like super clean.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're a kicker or something, and even they get dirty sometimes. But you're not gonna be like super clean, and your shirt is all tucked in, and everything like that. I mean, so we're gonna try to create a lot of that. And now in this first iteration, we may not have all of that, but we're working on that kind of stuff right now. We're working on that things like, jerseys being untucked, the player being dirty. So when he comes in from halftime, he's not all clean again,
Yeah.
So in a muddy game. So yeah, we're
that'd be cool if they walked even a little bit slower, because they're a little bit more tired.
Oh, well, that's going to happen, because there's going to be the stamina.
Okay.
And so stamina and size and agility and all that's going to matter. So let's say your guy is in the fourth quarter and he's been pounded on all quarter. Well, he's not going to be running like a deer, in the fourth quarter. He's going to be a little bit slower. He's going to be a little bit less agile, and over the years, his skills are going to diminish too, just like they would in real life.
Over the years? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're going to have actual, age procedural generation as well?
Yes, we already have that in there for the career mode, is where I think we did it for the players for 15 years is the max, and then for the coaches I think 30, and then the GMs is 10 or something like that. But yeah, over the years of a player, 15 years. Now he's not going to be the same player he was in year one.
Yeah.
He might have some leadership skills that may be valuable.
Yeah.
To make him do certain things a little bit better, but he's not going to have that speed he had in year one and year two and stuff like that. Yeah, over the course of the skills will diminish over the course of the years of the game. Yeah. So that's one thing that I really liked about that. That was one of the things that my son was actually he told me. He said, he was he's rattling off these things as a kid, and he's like, why don't you have it where when he gets the guy gets old, he just looks like old dad, and then he plays like an old man, and I'm like, I'm just taking all this in, and I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to do all this crap? You know? But I'm writing it all down, and I'm just thinking, well, when I get to it, I'll, we'll. Yeah. But programming wise, I've found out that there's ways to do this stuff. And the guy that we have right now, Zach, that's doing a lot of the programming, and the AI, he's really good at this, and he says, yeah, all we have to do is, set up the mathematic algorithm so it'll, play out like this over the years. And
yeah, and it's not a continuous thing. It's something that you can do between cuts, like you're going to the menu, you come back, it could be something completely different.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So we're actually, I mean, it's starting to really, that's what I said, everything is just starting to get there. And then, like, my wife will just say, every time I see a screenshot, she's like, oh, they sent you another screenshot, right? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, because I'm just excited. I'm very excited about this game. And every time I see something or see some gameplay or something like that, you can't help but get excited because not many people can do this.
Oh, no. It takes a certain kind of person, a certain kind of personality and drive to do this, and I think yeah I make games.
Yeah, she makes games.
Yeah, that's true.
So she knows.
Yeah, you have to love it. You have to like, and I like that you found that within it, because like you found your love for music and art, and it's great. But like games is like so completely different because you're adding that technology aspect. But you did have that with the IT, so you kind of like maybe were meant to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was just something there that just told me it was just time, and then, a lot of people out there didn't take me seriously when I was doing this. That's why you don't see a lot of people interview me on YouTube or anything like that, because they just don't think that it's real. I don't know how they can't think that it's real, because we've actually put out real stuff. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how they can't, but a lot of people don't want to touch it because it's not sexy for them.